Hello, in this video I'll be showing you guys how to make a password cracker in Python. Now this program isn't really for beginners. I will be making Python tutorials for beginners in the future, but this is for people who have a little experience already. But feel free to follow along and figure stuff out for yourself because I think that's the best way to learn anyway. So to make this password cracker, first off, we'll start by importing the hashlim module in Python, which is a module that you can use to create password hashes. And then we'll import the random module to come up with different combinations for our brute force password cracker. And then I'll import the string module to get the characters and the letters, numbers, punctuation that we'll need um, to use for the brute force password. Okay, so first thing we'll do is store all the letters in the alphabet in a variable. So we'll use letters equals string dot ASCII underscore letters, and then we'll store numbers in a variable with string dot digits, and we'll get the punctuation. We'll call this punc, and then use string dot punctuation to get all the punctuation that we can use. And now in this brute force password cracker, we're going to be using different options. So I want to give the user a choice to use just letters and punctuation, just numbers and punctuation, and just letters and numbers. So we'll start off by creating a variable which will store letters and punctuation. We'll concatenate the letters and punctuation strings. And then we'll create a numbers and punctuation variable to store numbers and punctuation. And then letters and numbers. Okay. And then if the user wants to use all characters in their attempt to crack the password, I'll use a variable called all characters and then set that equal to letters plus nums plus punctuation. And if you guys aren't sure what's going on when you're following along, what I'd recommend is you can print out the result of what's happening after each step to see what type of progress you're making. For example, if you want to understand how the letters and punctuation string looks, you can use print letters and punctuation, and then you'll see right here that it shows you this is the string that contains all these letters, uppercase, lowercase, and punctuation. So the next thing we want to do is get a password hash from the user. So we'll use a variable called hash, and we're going to take a string of their input and say enter the password hash. Then we're going to define a variable for the type of attack they want to do. In this program, I'm setting it up so you can perform a dictionary attack with the word list or do a brute force attack. So we'll say type of attack equals an integer of the input for what type of attack do you want to do? And then I'm going to insert some new line characters here and also one at the front here just to make the program a little cleaner. Then we're going to actually do, let's see, we're going to write option one will be dictionary attack. And then use a new line character /n. And then we're gonna do the second option, which is brute force attack. And then two new line characters. So then we could come down here and say enter your choice, and that's where the user will enter their choice, 1 or 2. And then gotta close up the parentheses. And then we're gonna create a list of dictionary words from the word list. We're gonna initialize that list, so I'll say dictionary list equals an empty list. And then we'll start an if statement to find out what type of attack they're doing. We're going to start off with the dictionary attack, so we'll say if type of attack equals the integer 1. We're going to print cracking to show that the program's starting and just to make it look a little nicer. And then we're going to open the word list, so I'll call this, let's see, dictionary file. And we're going to open the file, which is, I'm using rocku.txt, which is a pretty popular word list. It comes with a lot of variations, not just words that you find in the dictionary. It'll contain passwords such as ABC123, the names of some sports teams, and stuff along those lines. So I'll use rocku .text. You can see right there. And then we're going to set the file permissions. Actually, first we're going to ignore any errors that occur when we open up the file by using errors equals ignore. Next, we're going to get the contents out of the dictionary file, rocku.txt, by using dictionary file.readlines and store that in a variable called contents. Now, after that, we're gonna take each piece of the contents of the whole file, so we're gonna say for each word in contents, the new word, the word that we want to get is the word in the file dot replace every /n, every new line character with nothing. The reason we're doing this is because when Python reads in a file, there's one word on each line, and at the end of each line it'll have a new line character, the /n. The .replace method replaces that new line character with nothing. Because when we want to create a password hash of the word, we don't want to create a password hash with the /n. We want to create a password hash of the word itself. And something figured out recently is that when you're using the .replace method, you have to store it in a new variable. You can't just say word.replace or else nothing will happen. You have to store the result in a new variable. Now, after you replace that, you're going to take that empty dictionary list and append each new word. And then to show you what's going on, I'll say print string of the dictionary list to show you what's going on. So run this. It's going to say enter the password hash. I'll just enter something for the hell of it. What type of attack do you want to do? Say dictionary attack, because that's the only thing we created so far. It says cracking. Now it's getting the words, replacing the /n, and you can see that it's just the words and numbers themselves in this list. Normally there would be a /n after each one of these, like 1923 /n, Pepe /n, and such. So yeah. Okay. So after we've added a new word, we're going to say for each of the word in the dictionary list, we'll use the variable I in dictionary list. Now, one of the things about programming is you want to make it as easy as possible for the user to use the program as it's intended, because not everybody is going to know what they need to enter or want to spend the time to figure out all the details. So a good program kind of works like magic. You want everything to happen behind the scenes, and you don't want the user to do that much or struggle that much to use the program. So instead of asking the user for their the hashing algorithm that is used for the password, I thought that it would be better to find the length of the password hash and use that to determine the type of hashing algorithm to use. So let's see, for example, there are 40 characters in a SHA-1 hash, so if I wanted to say the length of the hash, if the length of the hash is 40, then we use SHA-1 as the hashing algorithm. So I'm going to do that for MD5, SHA-1, SHA-256, and SHA-512. I'm not going to use everything, but I'll give a variety of options. So we'll say if length of the hash that the user inputs is equal to 32 characters in a MD5 hash, then we'll create a variable called dictionary hash and set it equal to hashlib dot MD5, and then we're gonna take that word and encode it in UTF-8, and then take the hex digest of that. And then I'll go along and say else if length of hash equals 40, then the dictionary hash equals hashlib dot SHA-1 encode it with the UTF-8. And then get the hex digest of that. And then we'll do SHA-256. I'll just shorten it up and use those. So let's do elif length of hash equals 64 characters in a SHA-256 hash. Then dictionary hash equals hashlib dot SHA-256. Then take I dot encode UTF-8 dot hex digest. The next thing we're going to do is take that value of, let's see, we're going to make a hash out of every single word in the dictionary list and compare it to the hash that the user entered. And then with that, if the hash from the dictionary word is equal to the hash that the user entered, then we're going to print that the password was found and then print that word that was used to create that hash. So basically what we're doing is just creating a hash for each word, comparing the hash against the hash that the user entered, and then determining if they're equal. So we'll say if dictionary hash equals hash print, use a new line character just to make things cleaner, password found, and then comma I. So we don't want to print the hash again. We can, but we want to print the word that created that hash. And then if the dictionary hash is not equal to the hash. Now, at this point, we want the program to tell you if the password is not found in the dictionary list. So I was thinking about how to do this, and basically I thought that you would take the index position of the word in the dictionary list for every word, and if that word is in the last index position and the dictionary hash and the hash that the user entered are not equal, then that means that the password wasn't found in the dictionary list. So then you could print password not found. So in that case, we're going to use and then check the dictionary list index position of I and see if that's equal to the length of the dictionary list, because I don't know how long the dictionary list is anyway, so I'll just get the length of the dictionary list and then -1 because the index of list starts at 0. And then I'll say print password not found. And then we'll break out of this. So I'm going to go ahead and run the program right now just to show you how this dictionary attack works. Now, I just set up another program right here to create some hashes. So let's think of a word that will most likely be in the word list. We'll take, let's see, ABC123 for example. And we're going to use SHA-256 and generate a hash of that. So this is the SHA-256 hash of ABC123, which I believe will most likely be in the word list. We're going to copy that. We're going to run our program. We're going to paste this hash. Select dictionary tag by entering option 1. It's going to go through the words, create a hash for them, check if it's equal. And there it says password found ABC123. Because ABC123 was in the word list, it created a hash that was equal to this, and therefore it printed it. Alright, in the next part of our program, we're going to do a brute force attack. So now we're going to say if the type of attack is equal to option 2 for brute force, then we're going to create a variable for the type of characters that the user wants to try in the dictionary attack. They may think that the person who made the password that they're trying to crack would only use letters, or they're more likely a person to use letters, numbers, punctuation. So it just gives a little more options to save time if you can guess what type of character somebody would use. Or if you're trying to speed up the process of cracking the password. So I'll say type of characters equals int input /n for a new line. What type of characters do you want to try? And then we'll give the user some options. So we'll do 1 is all characters, and then do /n, and then we'll do 2 is only letters, 3 letters and numbers, 4 is going to be letters and punctuation, and 5 will be numbers and punctuation. And then another new line, and then have the user enter their choice. Enter your choice here. Awesome. Now, let's see. So now we have to check what the user entered for their option, and then decide what characters to use based on that. So we'll do if type of characters is equal to 1, then we'll create a variable called choice of characters, and we'll set it equal to all characters. And then we'll say if they choose 2, choice of characters equals letters. And then we'll just do that for the rest of the options. So 3. Cool. So now we know what to use in our brute force. So now we're gonna initialize a variable for the generated hash of each combination of the characters that we use, and then we're gonna create a variable, initialize it for the generated string. So I'll say generated underscore hash equals 0 and generated string equals 0. So the generated string is going to be either the one character or two characters combined, or three characters combined, and I'll only do three characters in this program because uh, it'll take a little bit more time to do four. Yeah. Hold on. Let me check something. Okay. Alright, so now we'll ask the user how many characters they want to try. Some password cracking programs do incremental brute force attacks where it tries one letter, every combination of one letter, and then it goes to that letter and then variations of the next letter character. But I'm just gonna save time by specifying the amount of characters I want to use to try and crack the password. So we'll do the number of characters as the variable to store the user input. Number of characters equals an integer of the input of how many characters do you want to try. And then before we get into all the if and elif statements and my while loop, we're gonna print cracking like we did for the other one, just to show that the program is running. Now we're gonna use a while loop to say while hash is not equal to our generated hash. This is the hash that the user entered, and this is one of the hashes that we constantly generate for our password. So while hash is not equal to generated hash, we'll say the first option, the first character, is a random choice from their choice of character. So this could be a random letter if they selected to use only letters. This could be a random um, punctuation or numbers if they selected the numbers and punctuations string. So we'll take a random choice from that and we'll create a variable for the different characters that we'll have. Second equals random dot choice from choice of characters. And third, we'll only use a max of 3 characters right now. Third equals random dot choice from choice of characters. And let's see. Now, depending on the number of characters that they want to try, we'll either use just the first character that is generated, this first random character. If they want to use 2 characters, we'll use the first character and second character concatenated, added together. So we'll say if the number of characters is equal to 1, then the generated string will be just 1 character, a random choice for first. Now, if the number of characters is 2, the generated string will be equal to first plus second. So 2 options combined. And then if the number of characters is equal to 3, then the generated string will be first character plus the second character plus the third character. Now you can print out each generated string if you want to, but the program will run a lot faster if you don't. But for the sake of showing you guys how it works, I'll print out the generated string in the while loop. So for every single combination it comes up with, you'll get to see the generated string. And then I'll use the same concept as I did in my dictionary attack to determine the algorithm that we use. So I'll say if the length of the hash that the user enters is equal to 32, then the generated hash equals hashlib dot md5, and we'll take the generated string and encode it. Alrighty, let's see. Then we'll do for SHA-1, we'll check if the length of the hash is equal to 40, then the generated hash will be equal to hashlib.sha1. Take the generated string and encode it with UTF-8 and take the hexadigest of that. And then, let's see, I did MD5, SHA-1, SHA-256. So I'll do the SHA-256 as well. And SHA-256 has 64 characters, so if it equals 64, then the generated hash equals hashlib dot SHA-256, the generated string encoded with UTF-8. and take the hex digest of that. And lastly, we'll check if the hash the user entered is the same as the generated hash, which is the hash that was created by the string. And if it is found, then we'll print password found and then print out the string that was used to create the equal hash. So if hash equals generated hash, then print password found comma generated string. And if you don't want to use the whole comma thing, you can use an F string, which allows you to use a variable in curly brackets and put it in the exact position where you'd normally want it rather than using a comma. So I'll do an F string, say password found, and then a space, and put the generated string here. So it'll appear as password found exclamation point space the generated string, which is what we want. And then I'll break out of this. So now we'll test the brute force password cracker with the MD5 hash. So let's go over here, change this to MD5, and we'll use 2 characters and then try 3 characters. So for the 2 characters, let's do letters and punctuation. So I'll take a capital A and an exclamation point. We'll generate this hash, and we're going to copy it. Let's run our program. Paste in that hash. Select brute force attack. It asks us what type of characters you want to try. Let's do letters and punctuation because we know that's what it's going to be. So we'll select option 4. How many characters you want to try? We know that it's only 2 characters, so to speed up the process, let's use 2. And as you can see, it found a match for the password hashes when it used the capital A and exclamation point. And these are all the combinations it went through to get up to that point. Now let's try a 3-letter hash with, or 3-character hash with only letters, and use SHA-256. Let's say dog. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. Brute force attack. This will also be in the dictionary too, but we'll say brute force attack. And then it's only letters. We're going to try 3 characters. It's going to go through the combinations, and it found dog. That was actually pretty quick. So as you can see, I didn't have to have the user enter in the hashing algorithm. It worked as intended. The program will detect what type of algorithm you're using based on the length of the hash. Now, this program can be improved a lot. It doesn't account for many errors, and of course you want to handle those errors, but I didn't want this video to be too long. So yeah, I hope you guys found value in this video, and I'll be making more videos with more basic Python tutorials in the future. And yeah.